how anticipatory action, linking early warning system, risk analysis, pre-arranged financing can help reduce the impacts of climate hazards. We will have a panel from Kenya Red Cross. We will have the DRR CVA manager, Mr. Peter Murgo. We'll have Francesco manager, Mr. Peter Murgo. We'll have Francesco Palumbo. I hope I didn't butcher this. I'll tell you why. And the Kenyan economy, climate shocks has nothing on us. Thank you very much, Karibu Boniface. You didn't happen to laugh, so I wasn't funny.
Thank you. Thank you, Cecilia, for Thank you, Cecilia, for that. And good morning, everyone. Yes, as mentioned, I'm Boniface Odhiambo. I work for International Rescue Committee, integrating climate work within humanitarian sector and inclusive development. So for this session, I have wonderful panelists, and this is the first session for the day. So it means we are going just to set the foundation for the conversation that we anticipate to have in the course of the day. So some of my panelists, I believe, should be within the house, and will be joined by other panelists online. Now, when you look at adaptation, resilience building, anticipatory action, and combination of that context, it means this is where we need to set up our foundation and the journey ahead. And the team or the experts in the house to give us insights on this. First, we have, just want to check if they can hear us online. Mr. Peter Murgor, just say hello where you are if you can listen to us, and I believe you can also see on the screen.
Thank you, Boniface. Good morning, colleagues and fellow practitioners in the room. It's a pleasure to really be here, and thank you. Back to you, Boniface.
Thank you. And also to check if we have Francisco Palumba from the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction. Francisco, are you there? All right, probably it could be connection also. And then our colleague from MSF, Alan Magugu, I don't know that you're in the house. Please join me at least. Not everyone is online. Please, let's give him a clap as he comes in. Thank you so much, Mr. Alan, who is the head of climate and environment adaptation. All right. Now, looking at maybe just give you a chance just to say a word to the team here, just to hear your voice, Mr. Allen, as you join us.
Okay, good morning, and thank you for having me. My name is Alan Magugu. I'm from Medicine Sans Frontiers, also known as Doctors Without Borders, or simply as MSF, and it's my pleasure to be part of this panel.
Thank you, and welcome. Now, looking at adaptation and resilience building, and I want to just start off with the first question to Peter Murgon. I know we have had a very long journey as Kenya country program, as a country in Kenya, looking at the anticipatory work. And Kenya Red Cross being one of the leading humanitarian actors and also a co-chair of the technical working group on anticipatory action. How is the Kenya Red Cross working with government, institutions, and partners to operationalize the Kenya Anticipatory Action Roadmap, and what key lessons can be shared in advancing anticipatory action systems ahead of COP30's focus on adaptation and resilience? Maybe just take us through that. What is it that you are doing in the framework of the AA in Kenya and the roadmap? Over to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Boniface. But first of all, allow me, being from Kenya Red Cross, to First of all, thank everyone who's come in. Ideally, I should have been with you in person there, but because of some competing tasks and the need to handle other priority needs on this end as well, I've not been able to be in. And I know Cecilia has mentioned that the Kenya Red Cross invites all of you. Our senior management leadership acknowledges and appreciates everyone who's come in. At some point, let me mention that our Deputy Secretary General will be coming in. He was meant to be with us during the start, but you know the kind of disasters that are happening across the country. So it's just important for me to underscore our commitment so that you don't feel like we've not received you well, but I do appreciate. So, and that forms the Kenya Red Cross has been doing for almost past 8 to 9 years now, has been on the first front where ICHA comes in very relevant is developing evidence base for anticipatory action, where we took time to develop evidence, we took time to research, to look at thresholds, triggers, profile, risk analysis of the around financing for risk. And I want you to pause for a moment, and I want you to think about the recent, let me just go to the recent, the very recent one, Chesongoch, the mudslide, the landslide that we're knowing in Elgeyo Marakwet. If a week before we spoke and we told people to evacuate, probably they wouldn't think about evacuating. Why? As a country, we are wired in a way that probably oftentimes we respond to having seen the impact as opposed to taking heed of the impact. We know the famous Serikalis idea. And in 2019, I want to tell a number of us, you will remember this, where when Red Cross was thinking about the Takwel Gorge bursting and the flooding was evident, all the early warning mechanisms were clear, the advisories had been issued, and we went ahead to tell people we need to evacuate before time. What happened? There was a backlash. A backlash because there was a perception that Red Cross is just trying to resource mobilize, while actually we were taking heed of early warnings and triggers and things that were very clearly forecasted to try and make people act early. But the problem was when this was not done, we then realized it is an ecosystem approach. The whole architecture, it meant stakeholders, government, partners, communities needed to be sensitized on anticipatory action. So what Red Cross embarked on doing is, besides establishing and supporting government to establish the government-led Kenya Anticipatory Action Technical Working Group, and I'm happy, I know Boniface IRC is one of the active players in this forum. I know MSF has expressed interest and a number of people in the room there. What we have done is also to look at a roadmap, Kenya Anticipatory Action Roadmap, that clearly stipulates and highlights how we shall operationalize this. And lastly, we are working with communities. I like what was said earlier about vulnerabilities and having communities themselves being the architects of coming up with climate action plans. So a very core function of Kenya Red Cross is to work with the communities themselves to be at the center of making decisions and community-based adaptation and anticipatory action points that will now help us to mitigate this, which aligns to the COP30 agenda. I know I could say a lot about this, but let me pause here, Boniface, and come back to you in the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for those great reflections. And ideally, the Kenya Anticipatory Action Roadmap and the technical working group that is overseeing its implementation is coming in at the right time, working with the different collaborators and partners. Now, coming back to the room, and this goes to Ellen here, in terms of what MSF does. Probably you'll just give us more insights on that. But as part of that, climate-related emergencies are increasingly impacting on health systems and vulnerable populations. And if you look at the earlier speakers, even keynote speakers, talking about vulnerability. So with these across Kenya's arid and semi-arid regions, now from MSF perspective, how can health-focused organizations strengthen preparedness and anticipatory action to prevent climate-induced health crises before they escalate?
Thank you. First, maybe also just for everyone, so MSF, we are a humanitarian medical organization. So when it comes to climate change, our focus is really on climate and health. And of course, because in the East African region, we are also seeing a convergence of conflict, displacement, so that interaction we're also into. Coming back to the question, I'll say I'll give what MSF is doing in terms of climate and health. So the first is we do produce what we call climate products. These are early warning systems, for instance, seasonal calendars, where we do forecasts, and this helps our operational teams to then better prepare for any eventualities. For example, the current rainfall season in Kenya and the Eastern Africa region, it's the forecasts are normal to below normal rainfall. So what does it mean? It means like in regions where there will be drought, then we forecast that there will be maybe malnutrition cases on the rise. If there will be too much rainfall, it may lead to floods, and this may then lead to cholera outbreaks, cases of malaria. So that's one aspect that we do, and this information, these products, then they support our operational teams. And then the other aspect as well in terms of enhancing our preparedness, we have what we call foresight planning, where we say, okay, 5 years from now, what will be the situation in terms of climate shocks? And based on the different scenarios, then we are able to say, okay, what are the resources that will be required? What will be the response mechanism? So this is part of anticipatory action that we do. For example, on malaria, for instance, that we respond to if we have seasonal calendars and we know at this particular time of the year, it is the malaria season. So prior to that, then we do community awareness. We do distribute, mosquito nets and those kind of activities so that whenever the malaria season takes off, the cases are at minimum. And lastly, we are also onto community engagements because, we want to understand in terms of indigenous knowledge systems. So all these activities that we do help us in terms of our preparedness and making sure that at least we are adapting our activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Magugu, and you really give us very good insights in terms of even the products that you come up with within your programming and the level of preparedness you put in place. And this really gives us the point that climate change affects cross-border, within the health, within the programs where we work in, the population that we serve who are more vulnerable. And thank you for that great work. Just as a follow-up, as you build up on that point, MSF experience in responding to climate-related outbreaks and displacement in Kenya, what are the key priority or policy shifts that should be emphasized now that we are getting into COP30 to ensure that health considerations are fully integrated into national climate adaptation and resilience?
Yes, thank you. So MSF will be part of COP30, and as a movement, we have our COP30 advocacy strategy that we'll be presenting. So one of the key messages there will be in terms of, we are saying persistent financing gap has direct consequences in terms of national systems. They can't, adapt. Health infrastructure remains unprepared, and communities, are most exposed to climate shocks, are left without protection. So the key messages going to COP30 will be, MSF is calling for a shift, from promises to implementation. I know this is one of the agenda points for COP30, so we are really emphasizing in terms of implementation. to ensure that climate finance reaches those that are most affected. Also, in terms of funding, we're saying COP30 must prioritize adaptation and loss and damage, especially in fragile and humanitarian context.
Thank you. It really looks very precise and very clear, and happy that in this session today there's a team that we're talking about climate financing, so we just want to hear a bit deep thoughts on those reflections. Coming back to Peter, you really brought out the work Kenya Red Cross has done, more so on system strengthening and ensuring that working with the different partners and ensuring that also bringing in the focus on the community adaptation and resilience. Now, with Kenya Red Cross championing early warning, early actions approaches through the technical working group on the anticipatory actions within the country, what policy or financing priorities should Kenya and its partners advocate for at COP30 to ensure that anticipatory action is sustainable and more embedded within the national and the county disaster risk management frameworks?
Thank you very much. And you see, it's currently, of course, we have a lot of funding that is going towards disaster. Of course, we are talking a lot about now acting in preparedness. And I like what MSF is doing in terms of climate and health, very clear deliverables there. Of course, we can't separate the two. And we know that human beings, we hinge on a thriving health. I mean, if we're healthy, then we can earn our livelihoods, then we can move around and do our jobs, then we become effective in our doings. So what clear policy and financing asks that we can ask for from the COP30? First of all, is in the enabling policy environment. We need to move beyond just policies that are good pieces of paper, but actionable frameworks, actionable policies that can be fundable and that can trigger financing, so that we not just have things that now from one point to another is stuck. Look at the loss and damage, for example. We've been talking about loss and damage financing. We've been talking about very wonderful pieces of funding from one piece to another. Now there's a very big agenda on climate funding. How do we have enabling frameworks? How do these frameworks become very easy, practical, actionable? We must deliver concrete finance and measurable pathways to enable inclusive resilience. My brother from CBM Global, a very good partner that we work very closely. And I'm always very happy when I see him in the room when we engage with them, because practicable ways. So how do we make policies that are inclusive, policies that are forward-looking, policies that point us towards building the resilience and walking the talk in terms of mitigating against risk, and that enables funding mechanisms to make it very easy. You see, the other thing is, it's one thing to have policies in place. It's one thing to have funding approaches in place. But then again, how accessible are they? How easily and practicably applicable are they? And then how well understood are they? And how accessible are they even to the local settings and communities, and even, for example, CBOs, CSOs, and local implementing agencies, so that we can trigger this funding. The biggest thing we want to work against is having frameworks, but then again, not being able to make them operationalizable. If they cannot be operationalized, then they're not even serving us. So that is the thing that we would just really put, that as we go around this piece of work, as we go around strengthening systems, as we go around strengthening governments, as we go around participatory approaches and working with communities and making them ready, we will need to put finance where there is anticipatory action. And as I just give it back to you, one of the biggest challenges in anticipatory action is like telling you to put funds where you've not already seen the results. We are just using the no regrets approach, for example. So if the prediction indicator is good enough, how can we allocate resources for that? I will finish that with an example. For example, Kenya Red Cross is currently implementing a drought early action protocol. We are undertaking early actions in Kitui, Kilifi, and Kwale through funds that have been set aside for anticipatory action through the IFRC early action protocols. But if we were to go to a partner, in 2023, we struggled with the thresholds and triggers being very high. So there was financing, there was money that was said that you can use this money for early action. But when you look at the triggers and thresholds, they are very high. The bar is set very much high. So we need to develop funding models for anticipatory action that are easily accessible, easily operationable, context specific, and can be able to be triggered within a good time to be easily accessed. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Peter. And in your last comment about financing and what you are doing, just triggered my thought that also as a practitioner, probably also share with our audience here and those also online in terms of what RC is doing and the kind of work that we also see will kind of coming up as an evidence for many actors or many of us who are in the anticipatory action. Maybe looking at within the context of humanitarian programming, where IRC work within most of those with displaced persons, most of the refugees, and a approach on how we do our work and aligning with the county government, national government. This also helps us create more of coordination. And I must say that working close with different agencies here, led by Kenya Red Cross and our UN agency sisters, they have been in a position just basically to ensure that we have a very well coordinated work at both the national and within the county level. Then lastly, maybe also just to speak on one of our also take home in terms of lessons learned. Probably for the team that will be speaking about financing, there's what we call about risk layering in kind of climate or anticipatory actions. And in some contexts, maybe you can talk about taking up insurance, or context, maybe you can talk about taking up insurance or parametric insurance, where we kind of come with some small investment in advance, ensuring that and community-led actions, which is normally very important. Now, after I've said that, probably as we come towards the end, reflecting on this and more so on adaptations, resilience building, and anticipatory action, what is our take home as we look forward to COP30?
What we need to understand is adaptation is not just something we can wish away. We need to really know that this is the only way we can be able to support communities. We need to scale up anticipatory action. We need to have gender responsive and all-inclusive adaptation and resilience at scale. This is inevitable if really we are going to experience the benefits of anticipatory action and adaptation.
Thank you. The last statement on gender inclusive, and that has been the talk, and if you look at even our opening remarks, our keynote speakers were alluding that inclusivity comes in as a very strong point. Yes, that has been wonderful, and as I wrap up this session, I still go back to our key high note pointers from our moderator earlier, that when we look forward and we take home, let us take into mind collaboration over competition is key. And here, even as seen this panel, it is more of the solution, not people just coming up with the speeches as we were directing this conversation. And lastly, we look forward to put into action over interest. So then we see our work translating into a more resilient communities, more adaptable communities, and I believe we are all going to get a more safe ecosystem and a better environment for all of us. That is all from us. Thank you so much, my panelists, for sharing your insights and greatly sharing those wonderful, conversations. Yeah. Yes, I can see from the observations, probably there could be one or two persons who will want to maybe throw in a reflection on what our panelists have said or a question. Anybody have a mic could just be walking around, and if you have just a comment or a question or reflection of the discussion before I close on the session. Or just a comment. Means we are good. Okay. Thank you. Then I close it there. I know we have listened in through, and over to you, Cecilia.
Thank you very much. A round of applause. Could I perhaps take some key takeaways from anyone in the room? Anyone who wants to share any key takeaways from the panel? Or anyone online? Okay. Thank you very much. Please, before you leave, Rui, do you mind joining the team up? Coffee, snacks. Please walk through the booths, get to learn a thing or two about what KCB is doing with the communities. There is ePlus. There are a couple of others. I'm trying to see them from here, but I can't. Please walk through the booths. We will time the session. It's just 20 minutes. Grab coffee, go to the booths, network with each other, and then we'll be back here for the second panel discussion. Does that sound?
You float like a feather in a beautiful world. I wish I was special. But I'm a creep, and I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't care if it hurts. I wanna have control. I want a perfect body. I want a perfect soul. I whatever makes you happy, whatever you want. You're so very special. I wish I was special, but I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't belong here. tried to laugh about it, cover it all up with lies. I tried to laugh about it, hide the tears in my eyes, 'cause boys don't cry. Boys don't cry. I would tell
Hello, let's go back in, please. We are moving on to the next panel discussion. Please, let's come back into the room. If you're outside, kindly join us in the room. We are doing badly with time. Okay. Good. Is it afternoon already? No. Good morning. Did you guys enjoy your tea? Hello? Okay, it's okay. Did you get to visit the booths? Yes? Which booth did we visit? Anyone? I am not going to call you here at the front, I promise. I just want to know if you guys got a chance. Yes. Please help me with the mic right there in the middle. The beautiful lady in orange. I hope that is orange. So I'm told I'm colorblind. That's orange, yeah?
Good morning, everybody. I'm known as Grace Papa from the Stepping Stone Passionate Center. I'm the community. At the same time, I'm also a Kenya Red Cross Life member. Me, I've gone to visit our colleagues there, Red Cross, the selling or the issue, the first aid kits. Secondly, I've gone to KSB to inquire some of the things. I'm very grateful because of time. I will still communicate with them, madam. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. You still have the whole day to still visit the KCB Foundation's booth as well as Kenya Red Cross. So don't worry, madam, and thank you so much for being here. One thing that you've learned from the booth, I'm really trying to know if we've learned something, by the way. What is that one key takeaway from one of the booths? Anyone? Oh.
Okay, thank you. I've liked the Kenya Red Cross booth because they're providing the first aid. In case of anything, they're ready to start or to go. I've also liked the booth of KCB because they have those handles. I'm going to read it
Okay.
and even support my community. Thank you.
Fantastic. So please take some time to learn something, the packages that are there as well. Feel free to interact with them if you wish to know a little bit about first aid as the beautiful. As we head to COP30, the discussion will underscore the urgent need for global commitments that recognize climate-induced displacement as key components of climate justice, calling for coordinated action that safeguards rights, builds resilience, and ensures that no one is left behind in the face of climate. So, as hot as it's getting, I don't know if we know this, and as we are leading to this discussion is very relevant because with how hot it's getting, I need you guys to know that even my house plants are considering relocating from my house. Oh, you laughed at that one, yes. Yes, thank you guys. So allow me to introduce Ms. Farhia Ahmed, Programs Director at Zamzam Foundation, who will be joined online with Ms. Ali Anila Nur. My apologies. Ms. Ali Nur is the Managing Director and EU Pact Ambassador. Sincere apologies from Mr. Ballet Koli Jaji, late communication that he's had to step out. But thank you very much. Over to you, Ms. Faria.
Good morning. Distinguished guests, colleagues and friends, it is my honor to welcome you to these important discussions, refugees, IDP, climate migrants, and humanitarian response. As the climate crisis intensifies, more communities are being forced to move not by choice, but by the circumstances they're facing, especially in the Asal counties, where Zamzam Foundation works, that is Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Turkana, Tana River, and the likes. This session aims to explore how humanitarian system can adapt through anticipatory actions, inclusive policy framework, and integrated climate humanitarian financing. As we prepare for COP30, we must remember that the climate justice must include mobility justice, ensuring that those most affected are heard, protected, and empowered. When we talk about climate change and we talk about the asyl counties, most of these people who habitat that area are also pastoralists. They migrate from one place to another, mostly in search of water and pasture. Now, allow me to introduce our distinguished panelists who will join me. Anila Noor, she's also the spokesperson for the BMZ Action Network on forced, I'll let her also introduce herself more on that.
Community climate, because there's no gender justice without climate justice, and that's what in the collaboration with the BMZ, and where we are bringing the leadership of displaced communities. And I'm also PRECT ambassador of EU, European Commission. In this, my all different hats, we are trying to bring actually the voices from the local level, because for us, this is the time we communities, especially refugee and displaced community, IDPs communities, we not need to be taken as only beneficiary or only as a vulnerable community. We have a resilience. That's why we are saying leading resilience is one of the component. And second component is meaningful participation, where we are advocating how we be involved meaningfully, not only on tokenization way, not only for consultation, not only to take our knowledge and then get away with it. We are really trying to create an ecosystem based on accountability and where we co-design the agenda. We are going next week in upcoming days in COP30 as well. And I know how participation becoming so expensive and so distant. Unfortunately, this policy domain, instead of opening up, they are getting shrinked. We see the funding cuts impact on us, and these spaces are shrinking, and that's why we are making sure how we make sure nothing about us without us, and we make sure our voice is not there only for advocacy, but also we have the co-leadership, co-designing. We have the resources and power to create the future. We really want to create a sustainable future, equitable future for all of us. So I'm happy to be in this panel and look for a further discussion.
Thank you very much, Ms. Noor. Thank you very much. Placement, especially in arid and border regions. From your experience, how can gender response approaches be embedded in humanitarian system to ensure that women voices, capacities, and protection needs are prioritized during displacement and recovery?
Thank you, Afriya, for your question. I think in my introductory remarks, I already are targeting of the designing. So that's why we are failing. Being a leading part in this discussion, we are advocating for meaningful participation, where we say what we want, to define the question, to define the problem, because it will help us to understand what we really need on the ground. It will help us to overcome the challenges when we implement any planning, any policy, any project or program. Then we see, oh, this is not what community needs, this is not addressing the woman need, this is not addressing girls need. That's why it's important before designing, we need to involve them. And as you correctly mentioned, we already see in the funding and in the power displacement, women-led organization is on the last stage of the on the receiving end, but we are on the forefront to get the impact. Either it's conflict, either it's displacement, either it's climate impact, either it's floods. Women-led organization, women are the ones who are facing this barrier, this impact on their self. So that's why it's very important we start building inclusive approaches, and that's why I want to take this opportunity. In upcoming weeks, actually, we are launching one big project in Kenya, in Nairobi, where we are asking refugee women-led organization to work with us to collect discussion through our coffee tables and our leading resilience session where we are through our coffee tables and our leading resilience session where we are helping them to get the mentorship, get the training, and to explain what is needed when we are creating an inclusive solution. That's why I request all of you who are listening to me online and in person, please reach out to us. We love to work with all of us together to create a solidarity, not to compete, but to complement the work which we are doing. Because all of us, we need to leverage our experience and take this knowledge for the future we want to build. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this insightful contribution. It highlights that true resilience starts with the inclusion of women at every level. During my coffee break, I was having a conversation with one of Mrs. Susana Rodriguez, and she mentioned something that about when planting trees and how it impacts women and actually women who don't have source of livelihood in areas like Kisumu. And they face actually a lot of troubles because from the point, when it comes to protection and resilience, from the point when she doesn't have money and she wants maybe to sell her fish, she's taken advantage of. So also that is something to ponder about. So I will also ask you this. I will also say that as Zamzam Foundation was recognized by the United Nations with special consultative status and ECOSOC for his humanitarian and development work in the Horn of Africa. Something about Zamzam Foundation is it was established in Somalia. That is on 1992. And we pride ourselves both in Somalia and Kenya. Now it's locally also registered in Kenya in 2019. In building of greenhouses, drilling of over 500 boreholes and shallow wells across the Asile counties. So, having said that, my next question for you, Mrs. Noor, is as we approach the COP30, what concrete actions or policy commitments are needed to strengthen women-led networks and community organizations working on intersection of climate change, migration, and resilience?
Thank you, Fariha. I think as we are getting very close to the COP, is happening already, it's starting space, and it's not led by women discussion and how we can ask for it. Like, it's not a favor. It's not we are asking for favor or privilege. This is our right. So it's very important we use our social media, we use our in-person meeting to ask for information, to ask accountability, to ask for why we are still today failing. It's already 30 years and we are seeing so far no impact, and it's becoming so challenges for us to even to participate. This is very important. We keep asking for the accountability. We asking for more information, and it's very important. Whoever is able to go, we plan some side events. We plan some meeting to create a visibility. Why is still not very inclusive discussion? That's the simple thing we can do to create this kind of campaign to share. These are the spaces are not involving us, inviting us.
Excellent points on leadership and empowerment, and also this brings about what was mentioned earlier, action over intention.
Yeah.
As Zamzam Foundation, we take the practical steps that humanitarian systems take to ensure that policy framework remain inclusive, responses to realities, refugees and climate migrants. We work closely with vulnerable and displaced communities to ensure that voices inform county and national planning. We push for co-created solutions where communities are not just consulted but become equal partners in designing and monitoring a response. Okay, this question was for our colleague who is not here with us today. I hope you won't mind, Ms. Noor, if I also ask you this question.
Well, I think it's interlinked. It is very interlinked to understand, because for us it's very important to not only to create only a consultation, but also create more inclusive understanding. Also to see how to revisit what the failure, why we are, because sometimes maybe we are not learning for our failure. So I think this is the time where we accept function system is not functioning, and how we can restart, redo something, and we learn from our failure. So this is the only answer I could share from my end. That's why we're saying I'm happy to bring more knowledge, more mentorship, more working with the local communities, because we are one of the communities. So how we are recreating our spaces is very important.
Thank you very much for that. And at Zamzam Foundation also, we have implemented integrated humanitarian climate programs that link immediate relief with long-term adaptations. That is like such of greenhouses, which over now 400 people, 4,000 people are benefiting from it, such as water systems, livelihood training, and women-led cooperatives. We see displaced people as active contributors to resilience. When I was listening to Mr. Giving our colleague giving the opening remarks here, so not passive recipients, climate finance must invest directly in their leadership and in also innovation. This is inclusivity. We all come together to take action, and we all come together to create that resilience. So I'll ask you this question too, Mrs. Noor. My question is, how can integrated climate humanitarian finance be structured to empower displaced communities, not just as receptive of aid, but as active agents in building resilience and shaping adaptation strategies?
Yes, Priya, finance is a very main component in leadership and in empowerment. We can't and we shouldn't deny this element. If you have resources, if you have enough finance, if you have enough budget, you already see the leverage in your confidence, in your planning, confidence in bringing the resources and knowledge, and to bring the sustainability. And it is interlinked. That's why I already mentioned like how we can create a more understanding how climate finance is working today, and how displaced community are not there in the discussion. They are not there in the communication. They are not there in the policy design. We as a displaced community been just touched upon ticking the box. Unfortunately, till today, we all hear our stories, and these stories is been taken as a tokenic story to such the stage, but we are not involving in co-designing the agenda, co-designing the theme. That's why this is the time we stand very strong and to start saying no. And we start saying no, like this is not the way we want to engage. We really want a meaningful engagement. We really want to engage more inclusive environment where we feel responsible, accountable, and implement the design we want to build.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Noor, for that. Before we go to ask you about your reformations on this topic, I'll hand it over to our colleagues here. Anybody who has any other questions or any comment they would like to make?
Once more, I said I'm Grace Papa. I'm the community. I'm very grateful for today's conversation. What is making me to be very happy, the way they have talked or said, it's better to go and empower the community. My request is, it's better the office or the foundation of go and get the treatment, and even during this climate change. For example, in our area, there's a slopy place, or the land is slopy, it goes into the river. And during the rains always comes at night. Those houses, they are always over flooded. And girls and women normally go for safety. There you will find those ones, the people ready to receive them. Come, we support you where to get the shelter. And instead, young girls and women are being raped and defined. And this is creating dropping out from school, mostly to some young girls who are in school. If the foundation will come, or the Kenya Red Cross will come to the ground and empower our community, I'll be grateful. Thank you for today's conversation. Thank you.
You remember when we came from break, she said that she's a life member of Kenya Red Cross, and for her to become that, I think it's because of collaboration.
Conversation we are having. So my question goes to Anina Noel, the managing director. So how can humanitarian systems move beyond consultation to create truly meaningful partnerships with depressed persons, ensuring their voices are heard and acted upon in policy making? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Nilanur, will you take that, or we'll wait for another
Sure.
question?
No, I will take this
All right,
question.
thank you.
And by answering, I will also conclude my remarks because unfortunately I also have to leave. But thank you so much for this question. I think this question shows how communities already are well aware. They are fed up. They are saying no more tokenization, not to just to decorate ourselves. So I think this is our first kind of, this question shows how resilient we already are. So that's why, as a new woman connector, what we are building, we are giving the training of meaningful participation to the both, to the our community and to the policymaker and to the other multi-stakeholder. So they know how this community should be engaged, and community know how we ask for our right to be engaged in a meaningful way. As I said earlier, it's not a privilege. It's not a we are asking for extra thing. It's our right to be engaged in a meaningful way. But if we don't know how we have been engaged is meaningful or no, if we have the more understanding, if we have more platform like this, if we have more spaces, if we have more advocacy understanding, then we can literally can say no more, no tokenization. And we can build, if we have, let's give you a very few points, tips. In meaningful participation, what we have been built, we are saying no more volunteer work for us as a community. If you are engaging us, there should be an honorarium or some kind of a partnership with the allocation of the funds. If we are inviting in such kind of spaces like COP30 or other local or regional, our time should be allocated with the honorarium. Our travel should be fully fledged, covered, and we get a respect, dignity as a equal partners. It's not like, oh, we are inviting 3 refugee women for share the story, or we are just being informed on the last moment. So we really need to have this kind of things and put it right away from today in your agenda. When someone inviting you for the future, send them. Will you pay for my time? Will you cover my costs? Will you cover whatever you need? Put that ask in your meeting minutes, in your agenda, in your invitation reply. Otherwise, we will be having these multiple layers of exploitation, and it's never end, because the system we are unfortunately working with is the westernized capitalist system. It's not a human feminist work, our system which is working for us. So we really need to stop barrier to this function, not to exploit us anymore. That's my message, and I love to see, please reach out to me. As I said, in upcoming weeks, we are working very closely in Kenya and Nairobi, and we love to see how we can generate more inclusive spaces. And I don't want to how to say we are bringing something new. You already have this knowledge, you already have this expertise. We just need to polish it to create a more visibility. Thank you so much, and have a lovely weekend and a good event. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for her. Okay, as Zamzam Foundation Reformations, our dedication.
Okay, thank you. Let's give a few claps. As we usher in the next panel, I don't know if I'll be allowed to keep on being here by Mr. Zachary.
Again, the community stroke Kenya Red Cross Life member. The key take the community stroke Kenya Red Cross Life member. The key takeaway, I think they have said justice for all, to all parts of Kenya. Everyone is supposed to have justice and hope for life. So I believe from today, even those people in my community, women and girls, they're going to get justice and hope. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate her. Organizers, I know this was not part of your big budget, yeah, but could we have small tokens for the most active people in my room? And I am very biased to have her. Thank you very much for sharing your insights. Any other reflections from the session? Anyone? Yes, good. Please pass the mic.
Thank you so much. Frederick Mutinda from KCB Foundation. I think this conversation was really useful conversation, because as a seasoned specialist who has been in protection from violence for quite some time, I think the overarching message that was coming out clearly is that we leave no one behind, which is very critical aspect. That teamwork and all our partnerships to be very intentional and purposeful, to be able to collaborate in terms of the climate action that we want to achieve. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. As a seasoned, you said you're a seasoned what? Protection from violence expert. There are a lot of experts in this room, so I do not want to get it wrong. There was a hand up. Kenyatta University, right? Yes.
Okay, once again, good afternoon. So my key takeaway from the session is that climate justice and climate mobility is all about people, not borders. So we should be able to, all of us, be able to encourage one another, respect the dignity, and also, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So climate justice is not about borders, it is about people. Do you remember the catchphrases from the morning? What were the catchphrases? Oh my. What were the 3 catchphrases? Yes, the very first. Please help me with the mic. Yes. Good.
I know you have so many.
Just
so
one. Just give me the first one.
All right. Number 1 was collaboration over competition.
Collaboration over competition. Please pass the mic to Liz at the back. Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. Yes. Second hand and then third hand. Okay.
Okay. The second one was action over intention.
Action over? Is it action over? My catchphrase is Mesahau. And the last one, the table there, I will give you back. feedback, allow me to wrap up this discussion and welcome the next panel. Is there a feedback from the room? Fantastic. Please clap for yourselves. Moving on swiftly, we have the third panel discussion. This is something that is very close to my heart. The session here will explore strategies to integrate gender, equality, disability, and social inclusion. The principles and into national and local climate action to amplify the voices of marginalized populations, promote community-led solutions that reflect diverse perspective. So as we are aligning to COP30 priorities on equity and justice, the dialogue will highlight how inclusive approaches can accelerate resilience, enhance adaptation, and ensure that Miss Akinyi Chemutai, please, if I call your name and you're in the room, please join us on stage. Miss, please join us on stage. Miss Chemutai is in the Women Renewable Energy. Then we have from KCBF, Mr. Frederick Mwangangi, who is the seasoned guy. He's seasoned. Seasoned in safeguarding and protection. Where Pole Bath. I just realized the head of partnership, Kenya Red Cross, is here, so she's seeing me butcher your titles. And I'm going to get a memo, so my apologies. Mr. Frederick is the manager, safeguarding and guiding at KCB Foundation. Get to it, Professor Henry. One dad joke as we go, I promise. This one is on inclusion. So we are driving into inclusion and equity because climate action without inclusion is like ugali without? Ati? Ugali without what? Nyama in sukuma. Yes, it's just not complete without it. Sindio? Please give it up to Mr. Henry.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome. So we're here today to discuss a topic that sits at the very heart of effective climate action, inclusion and equity. We know the climate crisis is not an equal opportunity threat. It impacts fall hardest on those who have done the least to cause it. Women, children, and indigenous communities together with the marginalized. But this session is not just about vulnerability. It's about agency, innovation, and justice. It's about recognizing that without including these voices, our climate solutions are incomplete, unstable, and ultimately unjust. As we look towards COP30, the question is no longer if we could include, but how we must fundamentally redesign our approaches to be equitable by design. With me, it's a panel who are going to guide us in this discussion, and I would like to invite them to introduce themselves. Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Akinyi Chemutai, and I am the regional lead in Women Renewable Energy, and I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. My name again is Cecilia Mwangi. I serve as the National Youth Manager, Kenya Red Cross. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Trufina Mudhoni. I am a youth advocate at Children with Nature, and I'm also an earth healing musician and a world record holder for the longest marathon hugging a tree. And I'm so much excited to be here.
What a pleasure to sit beside a marathoner. So I'm Frederick Mutinda Mwangangi. I'm the Safeguarding and Gender Manager lead with KCB Foundation, supporting all foundations' activity within Kenya and the regions that we operate. Thank you, and I'm happy to be here also to share my experience, my 19 years journey in terms of this aspect of safeguarding gender equity and inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, my panelists. So to get started COP30 is being framed as the implementation COP. From your unique perspective, what does truly inclusive and equitable implementation look on the ground? And why is it an non-negotiable for effective climate action, not just a nice to have? We can begin from my father's side.
Okay, good. I think one of the very clear rallying call that is coming out is action. And action will not be achieved by sitting down, by holding press conferences, but it's rather by engaging all the critical stakeholders to do what is supposed to be done to really address these deeply rooted structural issues that are being caused by global warming and climate inaction. So I think, for example, for KCB Foundation, one of the things that we are realizing is that most of those who are affected by the whole aspects of climate change, it is the children, young people, and the marginalized or rather indigenous communities that we work with. And it's how do we ensure that they are not only part of the table, but they are also part of the action. And how then do we ensure that the design of our programs and interventions, they are clearly having these children, young people, and speak about even in the infrastructure, do we speak about climate smart technology? This is what we are doing as KCB Foundation to be able to contribute towards this global and national agenda towards mitigating the climate change initiatives. Yes. The climate change initiatives. Yes.
Thank you. Trufena?
With what we're doing here at Kenya Red Cross, as we are coming to an end in our strategy 2021-2025, we have right now because we have give a very good example. We have a representative from Kenyatta University who is a young person. So having young people lead this then changes the conversation from we are at the center or we are an afterthought. Yeah, the center or we are an afterthought. Yeah.
Thank you. To be trained more to have green jobs. I think even Kenya, the way we're heading, is we're having more of green jobs. In the next 5 years, will triple. So we need to equip the women and the youth, even the vulnerable communities, to also have local innovation, because we believe local innovation will lead to local change. So I think other than just saying that, I don't want us to only paint them as, because they're vulnerable, the victims and everything. No, they're also part of the solution.
Thank you. Trufena, what does inclusivity and equitable implementation look like on the ground?
Okay, inclusivity is, of course, inviting everybody to be able to be part of this conversation with whatever they understand and meeting them at their levels. So I thrive better in creativity, and that's how we are able to create platforms for young people, especially kids, yeah, and to meet them at their level so that they understand better these climate change issues and also give them a platform to express themselves. So like at COP30, we're going to have another world record attempt. It's a 72 hours of environmental endurance. You know, forest protection and indigenous wisdom is at the center of COP30 climate talks. So during COP30, we're going to hug a tree. There's a mauma, 300 years old. We're going to hug it non-stop for 72 hours with kids across the world. So this is a bold statement that children and also youth are not just victims.
Yeah, thank you. I wish I could attend with you. I will try hug a tree for a couple of hours when you're doing yours. And yeah, so then I can catch up. To answer your question, thank you. As I started by saying, Kenya Red Cross has put young people at the forefront in every step of programming, and this goes towards meaningful youth engagement. So meaningful youth engagement, we look at young people from the design to the conceptualization, to the implementation, to monitoring and evaluation of the program and the after effects. So that cross-cuts in our programming, and so for us it's very important that we have young people leading the change. A very good example is what Trufena is doing. It's a silent protest, but it's a bold statement across the world. And that is something we want to emulate as an organization. We are very big on capacity building of young people, and I want to credit the I4C, International Federation of the Red Cross. We have been working together with I4C to implement a toolkit called the Why Adapt Toolkit. Why Adapt Toolkit is a game-based methodology that supports young people to understand complex climate-related issues, come up with potential solutions, identify potential solutions for their communities, and come up with what we call micro-projects. So how we are able to do that, it's a three-phased approach. So we do the capacity building, we support them in advocacy. One level of advocacy is what Trufena is doing, but in Kenya, we work. Thank you.
Right, thank you for that. Now, we are talking about women in renewable energy, Akinyi. So, how is your leadership and how can gender equality and inclusivity be more deliberately embedded in national climate action plans and renewable energy policies to align with COP30's priorities on equity and justice?
Thank you. That's a very heavy question, but I would gladly take it. I think first would be that we need to have inclusivity just the way Trufen has stated in every aspect, from the design to implementation or anything, especially with policies. Design to implementation or anything, especially with policies. I think in the beginning we've started really a good track of including women, but I think sometimes it's more of tokenism, like just to tick a box. And we need to have more of, I guess what you said, leadership and gender equality. It should be an inclusive, consistent designing challenge that even if you create, for example, a policy that is tied with both, you consistently also revise it because it also changes and all. So for right now, I will say is in WIRE, we really believe in gender equality and women led leadership, but I want to say that it also ties in with the money. 2X Global has stated that companies, organizations, and even governments get twice the income or twice the profits or twice just financing when we include women. It's because we have, when there's inclusivity, it also causes long-term change or systematic changes in the system. And then I think also we need to, other than women's participation, I think this COP may have maybe a higher number in participation. I will not attend, but for anyone who's going to attend, there's going to also be women renewable energy representatives there from all over the world, because we have around over 40 chapters and leaders. But we need to also go beyond the participation and having, the way this COP is going to be on implementation, having more women in technical roles, having more women in science-based roles, having more women in funding roles. I focus on fundraising and grants, and I would tell you even the percentage of women who deal in that roles are very few. So we need more women in the to just cause the movement. It doesn't only have to be STEM, it can also be financing, it can be programs, it can be even communications. Even with policies, even with companies, you'd find they would focus on women in marketing roles, sales roles, but we have to go way beyond that, even in NGOs and all, and finance.
Okay, and now we have Francis, Frederick, sorry. So the call is about finance and finance from the young people and women. And KCB Foundation has been very instrumental in advancing youth and women empowerment through programs and entrepreneurship initiatives. So how can financial institutions like the one that you lead further integrate gender equality, disability, and social inclusion principles into climate financing to ensure that the marginalized groups, especially the women and the young, actively benefit from the Kenya's transition to a green and resilient economy?
Yes, thank you so much. It's a very good question, and again, it's finance, finance, finance. And just to give a quick picture on how KCB Foundation operates, because then somebody might be asking, why KCB Foundation, why KCB Bank? KCB Foundation is the corporate social investment arm of KCB Group. We are a company within KCB Group, which means that we are a non-profit. After every financial year is declared, the profit before tax, we receive a certain percentage. So anybody who is banking with us here, you are also supporting the good work that KCB Foundation is doing. And it's because of this, then, we'll be able to interact with these community issues, like climate actions. For the youth at that level. So it across all the 47 counties and see what skills these young people will need, and across all the 47 counties and see what they don't have them. And then we support skilling. We have quite a good number of young people who have taken skills in climate smart agriculture. We have supported that. After supporting then, skills is good. But again, finance. Do they have the finance to finance these interventions that they want to do? Maybe yes, maybe no. For those who don't have, then how do we ensure that we also provide startup toolkits for them to start, whether it's small businesses, small micro-entrepreneurship, or others? Sometimes a toolkit, then they may need capital, e-mobility. And even within our own procurement system, we were able to set aside 7.5% of the opportunities to these women, young people, and this marginalized group to be able to take care of that. So we have several interventions that we are deliberately ensuring that we are really addressing the specific needs that the community needs to be able to contribute towards this. Thank you.
Okay. I think my takeaway from Frederick is the young people need skills, because the finances are not just going to be given anyhow. They must be aligned with the needs of their community. Now, Trufena, the young people, we've talked about the young people quite a bit. Of course, Cecilia has talked about that. But then we have children whose voices, have not been heard. And so my question is, how is Children with Nature working to strengthen child-led climate advocacy and environmental education in Kenya?
Okay, Children with Nature has a lot of programs in schools and also in other marginalized areas like Takana. So we go to schools, we plant trees with kids, we engage them and mentor them in environmental conservation. Yeah.
Okay. To Akinyi, so from Wire's experience working with women and youth in renewable energy innovation, what practical
doing an were always low, but if you look at the application form or the grant application was like around 12 pages. It had jargon that even us who are professionals were also like, you have to sit down and go through it. I think we need first is accessibility. We need to make it more accessible, more comprehensive. I do know that climate is now, everyone knows about climate, but we need to also make it in a way that youth groups and women groups can also easily access. The other thing is we need to also have more representation. I think sometimes communication is such a powerful tool than you think. I was part of a project, renewable energy-wise, where we were wondering why one company, X and Y, why does one company have more female customers than the other company? And you look at the posters and the adverts, there was no woman. Then number two, even the way this, renewable energy sale agents are being trained to only, like they're being told, look for the household lead, who's the household man, look for the person who is in charge of the household. That also prevents women, because automatically we think that's a safe spaces, and all. But we also need to showcase role models. Who are the ones who are leading innovation locally? Is it women, all that? So we need to have more of showcase of role models so we can have more women in leadership. Because I think we're very comfortable, women and youth being in the background, but you'll find out like for some cases, you even find some companies would put, most women-led companies, sometimes they will tell you they tend to put their CFO as a man, because they feel, I don't know, we need to change the jargon, because they would say that the donor is worried that if we have a woman, especially married or has kids, that they would not be able to ensure the company we program. Evidence-based type of tracking or documentation really works well for us to even have to showcase this. But yeah, I hope I've answered your heavy question well, but back to you.
Yeah, and now to Frederick. The financing that is given to the vulnerable people, and especially the women and the youth, and
to develop, for example, these skills. And I want to give, at many times, people will feel that, and gender, I'm fully realizing, gender is not about women, but is ensuring that even every man in this house achieve the goal that they wanted. So to cut the long story short, is that the whole idea is that we need to be driven by data on what we are doing. If we are talking about women, if we are talking about refugees, if we are talking about persons with disability, what data is informing our intervention to them? Because we are not doing this financing to this group just to be able to tick a box for compliance purposes. We do it meaningfully, really being able to understand what is the immediate need and how for them of 10 million, and you don't have skills to manage those finances, at the end of the day, those beautiful climate action proposal and strategies that were in that proposal document will have no impact. And that we are doing is not cash, but it is in kind to contribute to this global agenda, even across the 32 objectives as per COP30. Thank you.
Cecilia and Trufena. Now, you both represent different generations of future leaders. Specifically, Trufena, you represent the young generation, which is like the children. And Cecilia, you represent the youth.
What she said, intergenerational dialogues have proven to work. And I'll give us a very good example with what we're doing at Kenya Red Cross. So Kenya Red Cross has a structure where we have the youth leadership structure, where I sit in, all the way to the grassroots level. So we have chairpersons of boards, we have youth boards, we actually do make decisions. Then we have what we call the main board, which includes the older generation. So bringing these two groups together to have discussions is something that we've actually tried across the country, and we've the CEO of Secretary General, and that supports in understanding key things. Where SG goes to make policy decisions, that young person sits as part of that panel. And that for me is very transformative, because at the end of the day, we are not only doing the actual capacity building, trainings and all that, but we are actually giving them, oh my, I'll try shout, but we are actually giving them spaces. Hello. Okay. That would be my perfect solution anyways. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So my takeaway is we need to have continuous intergenerational conversation.
Of two key national framework, and that is the Kenya Green Financing Taxonomy and also the risk disclosure framework in terms of this. And because of this, we have not only a moral obligation, but also an institutional obligation to ensure that all our interventions that are also contributing to these national priorities. And one of the things that we are considering, especially, not we are considering, but we are doing within arid and semi-arid areas, is also being able to see what specific climate smart technologies will be able to work in those areas, and who will be the groups that will be involved in that. We already conducted GESI assessments as part of the requirements of the GCF board, and we were able to identify from these arid areas which technologies and interventions will suit either for women, for the marginalized community, and how those look like. So it's very critical for us to be able to align to those so that we are really promoting what we need to do. And this really contributes to the overall KCB Foundation goal of ensuring that we catalyze an inclusive green economy. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Now I would like to take a round of questions from the audience.
Yeah, Anil, we have a question online. We start maybe from the online question, then any participant, a speaker can respond to that question. The question is, in many discussions on climate change and the community resilience, we hear about policy and interventions designed for vulnerable communities, but rarely about how youth from these communities are engaged as part of the system driving solutions. From a system perspective, how are your initiatives ensuring that young people are not just beneficially but active agents influencing feedback loops and decision-making within this climate resilient effort? Maybe anybody can respond to that question.
Can we pick a number of questions and then our panelists will now respond to that? I hope you've noted down the questions.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Sami Kairu, CYC Commonwealth Youth Council Climate Ambassador, the whole African region. So you all are inspiring, so congratulations to the good job. My question will go to Mwangangi, Mr. Mwangangi. In many local communities, the universities have many diverse people, of course, from many counties, and I believe if that's in
the foundation, don't lie, because we can authoritatively report, and it's in our report, sustainability report, which captures this kind of work. Last year, through our skilling and entrepreneurship program to Jiajiri, we were able to create 60,000 jobs out of this skilling, because our aim for skilling in these skills, whether green skills or what, is to ensure the ultimate goal is for them to get dignified and fulfilling jobs. So we were able to create 60,000 jobs that are tracked out of this. So that is one of the examples. In terms of partnership, yes, for us, many times when you speak about partnership, we need to consider partnership not only at this high level, but communities are our main partners. So how do we ensure that also this genuine partnership within communities is to say that for us, we work across all the 47 counties. And because we don't directly implement, we work through partners and partnerships. And what we do is that county will tell county, this is what our priorities are. A county will tell us, like, for example, one county will tell us our priorities is to ensure that we support maybe coffee propagation. And it's those areas that we are going to discuss. So depending on the local needs, that's where we are going to create those partnerships and those solutions. So in terms of how we can partner, of course, yes, thank you for acknowledging the work that we are doing with the likes of Chandaria Foundation. We also partner a lot with universities, and we are more than happy to welcome you through, we have actually our CSI grants manager here. We are more than happy to have those conversations because also we are partnering with other universities, UNES and others, JQuat, we are partnering with them. We are happy to listen to you and see how then can we advance this agenda from a partnership perspective. And also I love a soft hat because my master's is in KU, so, but don't record this, thank you.
Okay, do you have any other question from the audience?
Okay, thank you very much to the panelists. This is a very insightful session we are having here. So my question will go to, I don't know who to point the question to directly, but maybe Frederick or Cecilia. Maybe you can answer this question. It's quite long, so I had to type, but you'll bear with me. Climate change. That is from the King Abdulaziz International Center for They will tend to listen more to their religious leaders than people from the academia or the research field. So I cannot go to a grassroots climate action that is sustainable development goal.
It's slightly different because the approach that we see is working in partnerships called SOVA. The SOVA model is from the book of Joel, chapter 2, verses 26. It's a platform that University and Arava Institute in Israel for dry places. We are teaching them also the importance of the trees, not to cut the trees, the importance of having consideration with the soil, that even they are flooding, if they have some places next to the river, a few of them, then even that is not good. They have to save all the things that is around. I'm not going to, all of you here know what I'm talking about. But my comment is that in order to work closely with the community to have more impact, they have to endorse it by seeing what is good for them. And also we invite organizations to join this platform. We have big players on this platform. And we've discussed with KCB also. They also visited the site of ours. But this is my comment. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Cecilia?
Okay. Thank you very much. I will try answer Amos's. It's Amos, right? From Kenyatta University. Okay. Fantastic. And the question online as well. I want to start by giving a disclaimer to my statement. Kenya Red Cross, in its 7 principles, is a humanitarian organization that is impartial and neutral. So working with, we work across board, all faith-based organizations, generally impartial and neutral. So my answer here is more of community based and not specifically for faith-based organization. I hope that will be okay. Okay, fantastic. So the question was around how do we tap into the strengths of faith-based organization and leaders to ensure that they can be able to communicate climate conversations within the community. I'll give you an example of what we do in the community, and I hope that will be able to potentially give you a good picture of how we are able to do this as an organization. I started by saying that Kenya Red Cross is community-driven, community-based, member-based organization, and therefore we have invested our strengths within the communities. So the very first basic thing is when we are doing capacity building, we don't do capacity building for technical groups like myself. We actually identify the local mwananchi, if I may put it as that. So this person is able to help us know if our content is heavy for that particular community. So co-creation for us is very important. The other thing we are heavily investing in is human-centered design for all our programming. And so therefore we are able to identify or troubleshoot problems before they even arise. So when we are having, say, a program, I'll give an example with a running project right now. It's called Empowering Youth for Climate Action. The Empowering Youth for Climate Action project started at the very basic bit of the community. So we identified youth organization, faith-based representatives to come together, look at this Y-Adapt toolkit that we were going to roll out in communities, give us feedback about that particular content, and that is what we used to facilitate sessions in the community. So it makes it a bit easier. So at my level, there is a conversation I can have within this room, and still with me, who is, say, in quotes, a technical person, I can also be able to facilitate the same at the community level. The second aspect of things is when we do our training, we train TOTs. So when you see our bios towards the end of the session, you'll see I'm a master trainer in the Y-Adapt toolkit, but then I have been able to contextualize it into a Kenyan context. Remember, this toolkit has been used in 11 counties, ASAL, non-ASAL, deep in the communities of Meru, all the way to Garissa. So we need to actually contextualize it to suit that particular group. And how we do it is we train TOTs, and then those TOTs who are actually the community members are able to cascade it to the basic level. I hope that answers your question. So every programming that we do, we have the community at the very beginning. You co-create with the community, you can never go wrong. If you impose a program to the community, then you start getting hiccups. And that for us has worked even within the youth department. To answer the question in the virtual session, the conversation was around the initiatives, how are our initiatives ensuring that it's not beneficiary oriented, but more to having them leading. And I'll reiterate on the conversations we've been having here with the panelists. For us, the very basic and the very start is capacity building. We have to start there, and my colleagues here have emphasized on that. We have to start at the very basic level, which is ensuring that people actually understand the programs that we are going to roll out. Then the second one is advocacy. So you've built the capacity, and I'll be a bit biased towards the youth program. So once you've built the capacity of young people, the second step is helping them to advocate. So Kenya Red Cross does not do a lot of activism, not even a lot. We don't do activism actually, but we do sit in conversations. We do facilitate advocacy for young people. So we have build the capacity within our teams in terms of capacity, the community, in terms of advocacy, and then partnership. We do a lot of partnership with like-minded organizations, and that's why we are seeing all of us here, because all of you potentially are our partners, or we have partnered in a program or the other. And then for us, localization beats the day. Every time you do your program and it's locally led, then you can never go wrong. The other thing is mainstreaming the GESI principles in all our programming. Currently, we are running a study as the youth team on it's called intersectional rapid gender analysis. So then we are able to ensure that our programs are are mainstreaming gender as well as inclusion. They are disability inclusive. Lastly, linking young people with money, where the money is. Linking young people with financing opportunities. I like what Frederick has talked about and what we have been able to do. I'll throw a bone to you guys. What is FLOCA? How does FLOCA work? That is something that we have really invested in. And just recently we finished a training for 32 young people across the country in climate financing, just to understand FLOCA. And what those young people are going to do is cascade this within their communities. So if you're a government personnel here, I am just giving you a trigger warning in advance. A few people will come knocking to your doors asking, what are you doing with our monies? How we committed this as at COP28, I think 29 as well. Where is the money? So basically, I hope that answers the question virtually as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add?
Yes, I think I'll just answer based on the comment that the gentleman had shared and also the online question. I think all of us need to look at building green, resilient economies. And I think where we are really focused is green jobs. But I think we also do not, we're not more focused on capacity building, we're more focused on capacity strengthening. Like what ways can we ensure that there's gender inclusivity in all aspects of the, the chain of, the value chains, other than renewable energy, also climate technology. But with building resilient economies, other than policy, we need to also have evidence, case studies, and I'm happy to hear that KCB and also Kenya Red Cross have these evidences and all. So we need to have that. But I think at the same time, we need to ensure that how are we also documenting, because the online question on the policy and interventions and also the feedback loops, we need to have data. Because I normally see sometimes when we're investing in serious companies, the data is so good, even when you see the PR is great. But for women, youth, or even just gender itself, it's more of, we have just really nice photos, really nice blogs. No, we need to take them also serious. Just the way Frederick has stated that, it's not charity, it is an investment. So we need to think more of, we are just doing CSR and everything, but we have that, no, gender inclusivity is tying in with the investment. And as he has stated, that women are the best repayments. So other than women and youth, how do we ensure that we have a booming economy? I think even as Kenyans, we're just thinking of economy. And you can see that the government's plan is to push for more climate resilient economies. But also beyond that, because I think many people think when we're saying inclusivity, we're just thinking of women and youth, but we also have to think about the way, I think she has mentioned people with disabilities, I think children with nature, yeah, correct. Yeah, people with disabilities, and then also refugees. We need to have more of refugee heavy lens investing. We cannot be only focusing on only the common mananchi, but also beyond. Because we need to get tired. I think all of us, especially after the donor shifts last year with USAID and everything, we need to actually have more of local and resilient flows of money. Yeah.
Thank you so much. As we bring this to a close and home, 1 second each from the panelists. As we look towards COP30, what is your one call to action for the negotiators in the room? What must they absolutely get right this time regarding GETSI, children, indigenous communities, and people living with disabilities? Mr. Wangai.
Okay. No, I think one of my major call for action is that even out of COP30, we need now to have deliberations and actions that will promote inclusive, community-led, and climate adaptation that are geared towards a sustainable livelihood. Somebody said there, unless livelihood is sorted, then everything else itakuwa ni. That's my call to action.
Trufena, 1 second.
Okay, my call to action is in forest protection, of course. I just say that Amazon forest is at the climate tipping point, and scientists say that when it gets to 17%, it's going to be a dry savanna. And you know, the Amazon forest is the carbon sink, and that means that its protection is affects climate stability worldwide.
Cecilia.
Group photo before we announce for the next item. Jane Scofier. Yeah, thank you so much. We have come to an end for the third session. The next session is time for lunch, and I think everybody is having the... Who doesn't have this? Kindly raise your hand up. Okay, my team, kindly assist. You will be guided where the lunch will be served. And we are going for lunch. It is 1:20. So lunch is 45 minutes. Then we need to come back about 5 minutes to 2 p.m. Okay? I think then we can, if there's no any announcement from my team, then we can just break for lunch, then we come back 5 minutes to 2 for the afternoon sessions. Thank you so much. Yeah, enjoy your lunch.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lunch will be served inside Boma Hotels at Johari. You can just follow me after this.
Not Not yet.
You can have mine. Don't worry about it.
You also need to eat something.
Don't worry.
After the hard work.
It is okay. Don't worry about it. Trust me. Maybe I will just say Zachary is here. Yes, this one works. You have this small ones.
I will check on my email.
Okay. Okay. Forget next time. I think it's up there. Yes, it's up there in the podium.
She gave me her, so let me return. Okay.
Hi, you're not, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You were not here when I was issuing the note, I'm sorry. Yes, yes.
You can eat something.
For lunch, I am sorry. We just need to. I'm coming to this rush to the office. Just 1 minute. Did you say 5 minutes? Yeah. Yes. Me too. I love doing this thing.
Nilikufanya nini?